What are teens today not ready to hear? That epic you sent got screenshotted and sent to 5 other people, and they are still saving your nudes. Even if you sent them on Snapchat and think they can't screenshot without your knowledge, they can. Take it from a millennial who knows from experience. Screen recorder has entered chat. You won't feel different when you're older or have kids. You'll just be you. It's weird. Life as a continued experience is weird. When I was much younger I would always think about all the ways I'd be different when I was older. But I'm still just me. Somewhat wiser and taller. But still the same me I've always been. It's strange. But I think I've enjoyed getting older and growing to know myself better. Everything you do as a teenager will be cringe to your children. Everything I did as a teenager is cringe to me tbh. I, teenager, cringe at myself as I do things. Same. To the ones who ride the public bus in my city, specifically, nobody else wants to hear whatever TikTok you're watching. Buy some headphones. My dad's a teenager, anything less than 80% is not worth listening to. Just because you fucked up does not mean you're a fuck up. Building on this, everybody fucks up royally at some point. A sign that you're in the right environment, whether that's personally or professionally, will be people forgiving and working with you to get better. In similar vein, if you haven't made mistakes you are not living to your full potential. Mistakes are what make you, not being right all the time. Please shower. Back in my day you got roasted for being the stinky one. I worked with some young kid who just streaked, and one really hot day in July, when I was pregnant, it made me nauseous, and I just ripped into him. He had no idea. I was flabbergasted. Nobody had told him. Ever. Parents too. That's your job, to teach your kids how to properly clean and maintain themselves. I've raised 5 kids and I would damn sure tell them to go wash their asses so they weren't made fun of later. Don't have them be shocked by an angry hot pregnant lady. Drugs ain't a game. I was a $100 a day crack whore. 12 years sober. I want to scream at all kids, don't do drugs. Being dope sick sucks. Being friends with total losers just because they have crack will bring you down so fast. Sitting in the bathtub crying because you blew away 10 years of your life sucks. It's great you decided to get clean. I'm working on that myself. It's a hell of a struggle, but there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel always. They're right that the payoff is worth it. I'm 7 years here and I don't even recognize myself anymore. In a good way. I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality where I'm the best possible version of myself. Took a lot of time and a lot of missteps to get here though. Keep trying. Never give up. Even if you F up, just bite your tongue. Get your S together and get back in the game. Oh, and stop counting. The second you lose track of your days is the second things start getting easier. School has a system in place to keep you from falling behind. Life doesn't. Yup. Life will run you over if you F around. And even if you have your rest together, you could be one financial crisis away from losing it all. For F sure. Been run over so many times at this point. I've proposed to the asphalt, but still no response. Edit. It's beyond depressing. This is my most upvoted comment ever, but hey. Xera lol. Asphalt 2 has commitment issues. It's okay to be a virgin at 18. Apparently this isn't a big thing for Gen Zs. A few years ago I worked for a university and we got access to the Youth Health Study 2018. The majority of first year university students surveyed said they were virgins, and even more interestingly rated their interest in sex as low. The stats showed young millennials and Gen Zs had way less sex and drank way less alcohol than older millennials and Gen X. By the way, for the others NELs out there, 1980 to 84, the comparative stats basically said we were a bunch of drunk fornicators. Our stats were the worst. Well, yeah. Pretty much all of the data shows kids today are having way less sex than previous generations. Being controversial isn't the same as being interesting. Oh, and you're gonna wish you learned not to be a dick. Turns out social skills are useful post-college. I suffered so much while I was surrounded by teenagers and 20-year-olds because they really do not care about anything other than who's more popular and who everyone is talking s behind their back. The moment I started living on my own and only spent time with people I liked, my life got so much better. I live in a small apartment and my landlord is super nice. I try my best to keep the apartment clean and repair things on my own. When I'm doing a job, my boss, even if they act harshly, tend to like me as well because they can see that I'm trying my best and I don't start a fight and so on. If someone is an asshole, I just move on. But most adults at some point at least started to care about what's right, and if you yourself do your best, you'll eventually realize most people, even if they themselves are dicks sometimes, will at least appreciate you and look for someone else that in their eyes deserve to be mistreated. The better you are at removing yourself from traps like greed, popularity, meaningless drama and assholes trying to provoke you, the better your life is going to get. Just climb the ladder and make sure you deserved every step. Things will likely take significantly longer to achieve than you think, and getting good at stuff will take time. Sometimes lots of time, and sometimes you'll spend lots of time on something and you still won't get good at it. That's the human experience. Some things you struggle with will come very easily to others, but some things they struggle with will come very easily to you. Don't be mad that someone possesses skills you don't, and don't be a jerk for possessing skills that many other people don't. Also, life is not like a video game where you just keep leveling up. Sometimes, what you built will fall apart, and you will have to repeatedly do the same thing over and over. You thought you learned a new useful skill? Guess what? That technology is outdated. You have to once again learn something new. Thought you became physically fit and active? Well, COVID-19 lockdowns hit and you have gained some pounds. Thought you resolved some issues with your family and on good terms? Well, new issues have popped up. However, don't beat yourself up about it. This is normal, and with experience, you will also become more adept at facing and resolving problems. So each time the same problem repeats, you will be better at solving them. In 15 years you're going to think the kids have gone too far, and they are going to think you're old-fashioned. Not everybody can be an internet sensation. Somebody has to drive the dump truck, and sanitation is a pretty solid business, too. Yeah, don't believe the guidance counselor saying you have to go to college, and then saying something like you don't want to be a garbage man / plumber, do you? The garbage man and the plumber make bank with no student loan debt. Garbage man is a city job here that pays to start $25 HR, and you get benefits and union membership. I'll gladly be a ref garbage man, lol. Also, plumbers make more money than school counselors. Condoms are for STDs too, even though there are other ways to avoid pregnancy. STDs are the main reason I use them. You can't get STDs from your hand, though. One day you two will be old and uncool, and it'll happen faster than you think. When I was like 25 and stepbrother chuckled at me and said nobody says "stoked anymore," I had that moment for the first time. The moments have only increased since. I refuse to give up on stoked. I still say rad. Far out, man. Just because it's new to you doesn't mean it's new. I majored in literature in college. I teach now, and I remember 18 to 20-year-old me being fascinated by how human nature stayed the same from hundreds of years ago. At that age, I couldn't fathom that those old people actually made sex jokes or had certain technologies. Reading across the ages really made me wiser and hip to the fact that humans are basically all the same. We just have different settings we grow up in. Social media is not reality, and your entire life should not revolve around it. I know some adults that need to hear this too. Boomers warned us about the dangers of new and scary innovations. Then they jumped in with both bootstraps. You're closer to being the older person in any given setting than you think. And by old I mean like 30. Got nieces and nephews just starting kindergarten? Haha. Blink and they're starting college. Agreed. We are having my mother's memorial this coming weekend, and it keeps striking me as bizarre that we are now the adults. We went from 15 to 45 in the blink of an eye, it seems. Same. My dad passed a few weeks ago, and we just had his memorial. Seeing his friends and people he worked with that I haven't seen in 30 years just hit me in the face. How old I'm now. I'm 31 and realizing I'm at the point now where I'm really losing people. My 29-year sister died 2 weeks ago, and both my parents are in not great health, and that sure didn't help it. As older relatives pass away, the extended family becomes segmented and caught up in their own more immediate families. Things are becoming lonelier. Edit. Thanks everyone for the kind words. You need to learn the difference between normal teenage neurosis and mental illness. Neurotypical older teen here. Completely agree. People romanticize mental illness and chalk every response they have to a problem up to mental illness. TikTok has got half the internet convinced they have ADHD. It was Tumblr before that, MySpace before that, etc. It is perfectly fine to not know something. It's okay to not know. Stop shaming and bullying people because you learned about something before they did. Social media is not the real world, and acting like it is will only make people not want to be around you. Edit. I'm not talking about ignorance. I'm talking about laughing when people ask a question in class. The "how do you not know that" crowd. The mocking of people into never asking another question out of fear of ridicule and humiliation. Tell that to the adults too. Yep. Perfectly fits on the idea of being right because I've lived more. Many don't want to admit that they don't know everything, and from then on it's a vicious cycle of stubbornness and lack of knowledge. Today's eyebrows are yesterday's clown macup and tomorrow's regret fodder. Today's eyebrows are laminated. When I was a young whippersnapper, we did not consider Elmer's glue sticks to be a cosmetic product. Silly us. As you get older you just keep realizing how dumb you were last year. Every day I realize how stupid I was the day before. I actually like this because it means I'm always improving. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self. Ernest Hemingway. But then old age and dementia sets in, and you slowly erode away. 10 years from now, no one will care about how many viewers you had on TikTok. Also, those 10 years are not a long time. It's tomorrow. Seriously though, it may be the millennial in me, but 2012 feels like last week despite having gone through college, 2 jobs, getting married, and having a child in that time span. Holy hell yes. In 2012 I was 19. I had zero idea what I wanted out of life. Since then I've gotten a degree, gotten a job in my industry, watched my childhood best friend marry his soulmate and have a child, and changed careers twice. It simultaneously feels like much longer than 10 years, and like a few weeks at most. In the adult world, getting into fights doesn't make you look cool, it just makes you look stupid. And one wrong fight can leave you brain damaged or on trial for manslaughter. When r/watch PRPD was around, it was filled with fights where someone got punched, fell over and hit their head on the ground and then died. So many young people dying over stupid things. I know someone who was drunk and another much drunker guy came up to them looking for a fight. Long story short, the guy defended himself. The aggressive man had an undiagnosed tumor in his brain which ruptured and he died. Now this guy has to live with this for the rest of his life due to someone being idiotic. Luckily they got off with no jail time as it was self-defense and they were both drunk and obviously undiagnosed. But I think the mental damage of having killed someone accidentally is punishment enough. I wonder if the brain tumor could have been part of the reason he was being so weirdly aggressive. Could have been totally unrelated. But those things can totally mess with your personality. Very sad story. Poor guy defending himself didn't ask for that. Putting every aspect of yourself online is unsafe. Nobody needs to know your list of triggers or your address or your blood type. Some Twitter bios are long enough to be in a Star Wars intro. That's how I'm reading them from now on. With John Williams' score in the background, lol, maybe I could find one of those sites that generate the title crawl for you with your input. With John Williams' score in the background, lol, played out of key with a via bad recorder player. Yes. Early successes at this stage in your life won't necessarily give you an advantage later, but early failures will likely hold you back significantly. Basically, getting straight A's in high school will leave you closer to the mean than failing a number of classes. To add to this, please, for the love of all that is good in the world, do not get caught up in the legal system or get in trouble with the law. If you're in the US, having a criminal record absolutely will ruin your life, especially if it's a felony. Stay away from drugs. Don't drink until you're old enough. And stop doing stupid shit. Focus on school, work, and hobbies. I know it sounds cliche, and even a little lame, but take it from someone who prioritized partying at your age, and is now struggling to find work, because nobody hires felons. I wish I could go back, and stay away from that crowd. Edit. Thanks for the awards. If you're young and reading this, please take what I said to heart. I'm not saying don't have fun, but I just want you to be aware that getting in legal trouble can ruin your life and prevent you from doing a lot of things: voting, owning a gun, working in certain medical professions, etc. My charges were DWI and possession. I'm in the process of expunging the possession charge, but the DWI will never go away. This was over 6 years ago. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Cut back on the sugar yes now. Take care of your teeth now. Start working out now. You don't have to be a bodybuilder and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just be active. Now is the time to get out and do a bunch of crazy ass. But at the same time, remember that whatever you do now you pay for 20 years later somehow some way. And this can be taken in a good way or a bad way. Don't want to take care of your teeth now? Have fun dropping $30,000 on your teeth, like I had to. Not exercising or eating right. Have fun with that quadruple bypass that my father just had. My girlfriend's parents are older than my parents, but because they do those things they haven't had nearly as much hospital visits as my parents have. By comparison, my parents are falling apart and they are only in the 50s. My girlfriend's parents are in their 70s and objectively are healthier. The big difference? Early in the morning. Every morning those two are downstairs working out, hitting the weights and machines for a solid hour or two. Do you want to speed and act a damn fool on the road? Have fun when you have to pay for your own insurance and nobody wants to insure you to drive a Honda Civic for no less than $350. Like me. Even my F car. It was my dream car and it still is the car I would be driving today had just taken care of the goddamn thing. But no, it started leaking oil and I didn't keep up with it or take it in, and now I have to drive a goddamn Civic when I used to drive a Lexus. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.